Legends rise, it's the creator's game. This is College Lacrosse Gameday.
Welcome to week 10 of College Lacrosse Gameday. We are independent because this is America, and it's Army-Navy week. Joining today is last year's Schmeisser winner, junior Notre Dame defender Shawn Light. His Irish just beat top-ranked Richmond, and they have UNC Saturday at Arlotta, a 1-2 matchup. Our guest picker this week is Joey Lindstrom, play-by-play broadcaster for both ESPN and Big Ten Network. He has left quite the impression on us, and he loves the medicine game. We'll get right into our Shawn Light interview after the 80-second shot clock.
Nova was never nervous against Denver Saturday, 9-7 Big East win for the Wildcats. George Gloam was in the zone at home, 72% at the X.
Riding in on horseback, the Virginia Cavaliers overcame the curse at Koskinen this weekend by beating Duke 14-10. Last time this happened in the regular season, DreamWorks dropped Shrek 2.
At-large contention list is getting long. Hopkins put together an impressive comeback win at Homewood against Penn State, 11-10 final.
If you see a Greyhound humping a Terrier, best you just let them finish. Loyola asserted their dominance over BU 19-11 final. 3 Greyhounds recorded 6 points.
The Richmond Spiders finally got to the top of the spout, but down came the Irish, who washed the Spiders out. 12-8 final in Chicago. Miller and Yago were pounding the rock.
I am fired up for American Sniper 2. It's the story of Dom Petramala and the rifle attached to the left side of his abdomen. He had 5 kills against Cuse. UNC wins 14-9.
They made a docuseries about Big Ten lacrosse. Maybe some people would watch the sport. It's fucking cinema. Maryland beat Ohio State in overtime, and I literally cried. 8-7 final in College Park. LSM Riley Reese scored the game winner.
Shawn, thanks so much for joining the show, man. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Of course. Yeah, that was an awesome atmosphere you guys just played in. Thank God we got the stream. I know that was a big topic on social media. You guys must have been paying attention to some extent, but maybe you didn't care. I don't know. But as fans at this point in our lives, we were just like, we need to watch this fucking game. And we finally got it. We made it happen. The burner world and the lax media world made it happen. So we got to watch it, but paint a picture for us because we weren't there, and it seemed awesome, though.
Yeah, it was an awesome atmosphere. Can't say that's what I was expecting going into that game, but Northwestern has a great venue, great field, overlooks the water, and just a ton of people came out to support, came out to watch. And it was probably one of the louder games I've been a part of. They did a good job with like their music and getting the crowd into the game, and we were fortunate enough to have a good game where a ton of people showed out. Obviously, Notre Dame's not too far from Chicago, so we had some people traveling. But it was an electric atmosphere and definitely one I'll remember.
That's awesome. Did they treat it like a Notre Dame home game, at least from like the music and the theatrics of it?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
We were like the home team for the game. They did, like when we came out to the bagpipes, they did Shipping Up to Boston, all that stuff. Obviously, it was Northwestern, I think, PA announcers and things like that.
Yep.
It did kind of feel like a home game in that regards, but it was good.
Cool. What do you think of Chicago? Would you want to, I'm sure there's a lot of alum from Notre Dame who end up there, but is that a city you'd want to live in, or are you already in New York City in your head?
Yeah, being from New Jersey, being an East Coast guy, definitely New York City. But Chicago is a cool place. Definitely probably not as crazy or dirty as New York. So probably a little bit down the road. But early on, I think New York's where I want to be at.
Well said. I visited this summer, and like that was nothing on New York. I'm going to get some shit probably, but like I would describe Chicago as a cleaner version of New York.
Definitely.
And pretty. But I get it. Go to New York. It's where all the cash is. So I totally get it. Nice, man. Well, you guys, quick turnaround. So you go from a 1-4 game now to a 1-2 game against UNC. That's got to be, I mean, at this point in the season, right, it's kind of all conference play. Richmond's obviously out of conference, but you're in a gauntlet right now. Week to week in the ACC, what's it like for you?
Yeah, I mean, this is why I came to Notre Dame. This is why everyone else came to Notre Dame. We wanted to play in these big-time games, big-time matchups with the ACC. Obviously, dropping our first one to Virginia puts us in a lot tougher of a spot, needing an ACC win. But this, like I said, is why we come here. It's going to be a good week of practice. We're going to kind of get after it. And then Saturday, hopefully, we're all prepared, ready to go, but I expect that atmosphere to also be a lot of fun out at Notre Dame, out in South Bend. Hopefully we get a big crowd for a 1-2, and I hope it's just a great time, great environment, and hopefully we come out with the win.
Yeah, man, that's going to be an unbelievable game, and we were pumped for the Richmond game too. You guys kind of made it not that close, so
yeah, what the hell, man? 9-0 to start the game. We're all excited for this game.
Yeah, we thought that was going to go down to the wire, but I guess not. But hey, I just want to give you the chance to talk about the team this year because, the last couple of years, like Notre Dame's really had an identity, especially on the offensive side of the ball with the Kavanaughs and all the other guys that have been playing for a couple of years. And now you're starting to get some of these guys who have kind of been behind those players for a long time, like Brock Behrman, Jalen Seymour, and, some younger guys like Luke Miller, and then obviously transfer like Josh Yago. Like you kind of got a lot of new faces on the offensive side of the ball. I just want to give you the chance to talk about those guys and how maybe the identities change or how it's still the same in some ways.
Yeah, I think we definitely, obviously I'm not on the offensive side of the ball, but I think they've tried to keep their identity. I'm playing like the same offense. I think the biggest difference is that we don't necessarily just have one guy that everyone's worried about guarding. Obviously, we don't have a Kavanaugh. So now I think our points are more spread out. I think we have 4 or 5 guys above 20, 25 points. So obviously our scoring's really spread out, which is really cool because we can attack teams from different angles. Different guys are going to show up in different games. So it's been really cool to see. Talking about Josh Yago, like I guarded him in our 2 scrimmages my freshman and sophomore year, and when I heard he was transferring here, I was super excited because I know how talented he was and how good he is. So I knew that he was going to kind of come on and make a huge impact for us right away, which he has, and I'm excited to kind of see as this ACC play and we come down the stretch this season how he continues to grow. And you kind of hit on the nail. Younger guys. With Luke Miller, Teddy Lally, you got Brock, who's a junior, but like kind of stepping in behind other guys. They've done a great job kind of meshing and finding their own identity, finding their role, and doing it to a really high level, which has helped this offense click and which has helped offense click and everyone be able to get their own and help our team have some success.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think like when I think of Notre Dame lacrosse, I think a culture and like a deep rooted culture where, every year you guys are reloading, you're never really rebuilding. And, to have guys like that, I mean, another guy I missed out on was Riccardelli, your goalie, like, a guy who's been behind Entenmann for the last couple of years, like stepping in and being an absolute stud this year. So no, it's good to hear that. I guess like with Yago coming in as a senior, right? Notre Dame's a very like culturally strong school. How does a transfer come into Notre Dame and really like become part of the team and become a leader on the team and kind of become one of the guys? And for me, it's like, that's got to be harder to do at Notre Dame than other schools just because of how tightly knit you guys are and how like structured your program is.
Yeah, I think overall, not just specifically talking for Josh Yago, with the guys we've had the past couple of years when I've been here, Coach Corrigan does a great job at making sure the guys he's bringing in are going to fit our culture. He's not just going to bring someone in that is going to give you 60 points, 60 goals or whatever, and like going to kind of disrupt our culture. He's going to make sure that they're going to fit in the locker room, and then their play and everything on the field will come after that. But for Josh Yago, he came in with a chip on his shoulder. He obviously knew he was good, but he knew he was coming to the ACC. And as soon as he got here in the fall, hit the ground running. I'm putting all the work in, asking guys questions, learning the offense. I was getting reps with him in the fall and things like that. So he kind of just came in, put his head down, and wasn't trying to assert himself like too early, kind of being like, hey guys, I'm the guy, like respect me or whatever. He kind of earned that with us, and he was great from the beginning. We all love him. He was a little quiet early on, which you can kind of expect, but he's definitely come out of his shell, and it's been really cool to get to know him and kind of learn his journey through the Air Force, because a lot of guys don't get that 5th-year opportunity. So hearing kind of what he has to do and what he did to kind of get here has been really cool.
Yeah. I'm curious. That was a good question because I'm thinking too. I went to Hobart. Not a lot of transfers coming to Hobart. Notre Dame's different, but you have, when your freshmen show up, like they kind of go through the freshman thing, like whatever that is, you kind of do some off the field stuff to, get the freshmen to speak up and, make them feel like they're part of the team, but also like, you rub their head a little bit. They're freshmen. You gotta do that stuff. But when you have Josh Yago come in, who's, been at the Air Force and is going to serve our country, like I'm sure you're not treating him like a freshman to some extent, but you gotta, at the same time though, you gotta get him warmed up to your culture. How do you do that? Not between the lines off the field, and you don't have to share any war stories or get in trouble right now. So
no, all the things, like a lot of things our freshmen do, like any transfer we have, like they're gonna do it too. They're gonna come along, karaoke, things like that, talent show, all those types of things. Like they're all gonna get involved with it, because that's kind of how we get to know each other off the field. I think our success that comes every year is because of how close we are as a team, and it's not telling anything crazy stories, but like those simple things, karaoke, talent show, Other things that we do that are just like simple things, obviously harmless. Like you get to know who people are, what they're comfortable doing, what you got to see their crazy personality early on, and it puts them in a spot where you can be vulnerable and be comfortable doing something crazy because everyone else is doing it. It's kind of how you get to know each other. And we know that we all have each other's backs. When you're comfortable off the field, like on the field, you know you're gonna have each other's back because you want more than just the success on the field. That's your brother. So I think just those little things that we do, just hanging out off the field a lot, playing all different types of games, is kind of what gets everyone acclimated and how Josh Yago kind of just fits seamlessly in.
Yeah, great answer. We'll read between the lines.
Who's the best karaoke singer on the team, or in years past, who had the best performance?
Yeah. So I didn't get to hear this year's. We do it on bus rides. So when we have 2 buses, it's the seniors and freshmen because the freshmen do it. So I didn't get to hear this year's. But Gavin Burles, my freshman year, he had a really good one. He
What's
did
the song?
Khan's Dial Drunk.
Oh, there you go.
That one, he did a good job on that one. Who else had good ones? Nate Schwitzenberg, my freshman year, he had a good one. He did a rap.
Oh, okay.
Which was impressive. Yeah. But we got some good ones.
I think Josh Yago, I just picture him having the most beautiful opera voice you've ever heard in your life.
Glory. It's like the Catalina wine mixer on the bus.
Of course, he's amazing at that. Kid's seemingly amazing at everything. Just want to talk a little bit about the lineage of defensemen at Notre Dame. I'm sure in a lot of interviews, you get asked this a lot because it is obvious. When you think about Notre Dame, you think about defense and all the great players who've come through there. We played with John Sexton in high school. He was on this show last season, former Schmeisser winner, I should say, like yourself at Notre Dame. It's probably, I'm sure there's some past players who you're closer with than others, but when you get to a place like Notre Dame, when you have this history of success, like, do you feel that during practice every day? Do you feel that in film sessions? Is that something that's talked about, or is it kind of just set the standard for you on a daily basis?
Yeah, it's not necessarily something that comes front of mind every day or every practice. I remember like my freshman year, Coach Corrigan said something to me about having the potential to be a multi-time Schmeisser Award winner. So obviously it floats around my head. And it's obviously something that I'm chasing every day at practice. I'm not necessarily going out thinking, hey, I got to be the Schmeisser winner. I'm going out just trying to be the best defender I can be, and I'll let the chips fall where they fall. It is definitely, Notre Dame is obviously known for their defense, and it's humbling and an honor to be a part of this defense and have the success that I've had over the past couple of years. But it's an everyday grind to continue to get better, but it's not something that every day when I go to practice, I'm like, hey, I got to get better to be the Schmeisser Award winner. I got to get better to be the best defender in college lacrosse. Like, it's just trying to get better to help my teammates and put them in better spots for our team to be successful. Because although I won the Schmeisser last year, like freshman year winning the Natty, I would take that feeling like 10 times over than winning individual award for that Schmeisser. So
yeah, no, it's great. That's the type of attitude that builds championship programs. I want to give you a chance to talk about your training program, Lights Out Lacrosse. That's an awesome name. Like, I know a lot of players have that is sick. Like, I know a lot of players have their own like summer training programs or whatever, and they call it like, just their name in lacrosse. But Lights Out is a great name. So what do you do there? Is that like a summer thing? Is it a year-round thing? I guess, give us the details on that.
It started my sophomore summer of high school, kind of like during COVID. I started with two kids and it was just one-on-one sessions and just trying to make money on the side, something I love to do, and kind of just building my name and things like that. And once I got to college and I had a successful freshman year, it really kind of took off there. And my parents were like, you should just make this a business, like put a name out there, put flyers out, create an Instagram account, all these different things, LLC and things like that. And I kind of was like, all right, like why not? It doesn't hurt me to do it. I'm doing it anyways. And I kind of just hit the ground running with that. Do individual training sessions, group sessions. This past year I started clinics. I'll do camps and things like that. But it's just majority of it's over the summer because I'm obviously home and have a lot more time. But in the fall when I'm home for Thanksgiving, fall break, things like that, I'll do individuals, clinics over those times to kind of continue to build the brand, continue to like grow my reach and things like that. But it's been something that I've really enjoyed doing, and it's been cool to be able to have an influence and an impact on kids that are younger to kind of show them the ropes on how to get to the next level and kind of be a tangible person for them to see and talk to and figure out how to navigate it all.
Yeah, I'm going to pass it to Mike. Before I do that, I'm obsessed with play defense. Michael played defense. If there's like one drill that you're going to tell younger kids to do or you'd recommend, what would that be?
I would say like an approach drill. A lot of people think the footwork's everything and that's everything about guarding the ball, but it all starts with your approach. And if you have a good approach, it makes everything else that much easier. If you got a bad approach, you're playing catch up, and no amount of footwork is going to really help that. So I would say like any approach drill you can do is probably one of the most important things.
I can't wait to share that with my 7th graders. What a great clip. We're going to clip that and make sure it's saved and get seen by the masses. Mike,
Absolutely.
go ahead.
Love it too, because we're training kids in Jersey, so Jersey's just continuing to be the upper echelon of lacrosse in all of America. I'm from Jersey too, Shawn. I don't know if I mentioned that, but
Here we go.
do you have like a defenseman, all time, somebody you looked up to growing up? Did you have a favorite defenseman?
Yeah. Once I kind of started taking like lacrosse more seriously and kind of focus on that, it was JT Giles Harris. Just being another African American defender kind of was someone that I could look up to in college and be like, all right, like he made it. Obviously predominantly white sport lacrosse, so kind of seeing someone be able to excel at it at a high level, go to a prestigious university like Duke was just someone that I kind of watched and try to figure out what he was doing to get to that level. And that's kind of who I look to for those couple of reasons.
Yeah.
And he's an absolute stud. So
Yeah,
probably
that helps
and
too.
very entertaining. But funny enough, mine was actually Matt Landis. And I said this to John Sexton too. I mean, Dan kind of lightly mentioned it, but there's been so many good defensemen that have gone through Notre Dame, and only one of them, Matt Landis, I believe, and John Sexton, both won the Schmeisser. Obviously, you're up there. You're going to be, by the end of your career, arguably the best defenseman to ever go through Notre Dame, which is awesome. But obviously, you're looking to win national championships. But my question is, what makes Notre Dame's defense so good? I know you guys get the talent, obviously, but why are year in and year out Notre Dame's defense? There's no question you guys are going to be arguably the best unit every year. Why is that?
Yeah, I think it's the buy-in from the guys. Our system is not overly complex. It's something that's super simple. And as Coach Corrigan says, like simple doesn't mean easy. So our philosophies and everything that we do, our schemes are going to be super simple. And we just practice it and execute it to a high level. Goes back to our culture. Like Nate Schwarzenberg, Will Gallagher, Thomas Fisher-Yadelli, like all of us kind of know what we're going to do. Even our D middies and our LSM with Will Donovan, we all know kind of what we're going to do. So we're kind of predicting each other's movements because our schemes are simple, right? And we're trusting that each other are going to do their job and not try to do anything else, do anything more than they need to do. And when you got 6 guys doing their job, it makes your job that much easier, and it's easier to read and make decisions based off of the guy who's on ball or the guy who's helping you down from wherever they are on the field. So I would just say like the buy-in and just trusting each other to do their job is kind of what makes our defense successful.
Love it. But man, we'll wrap this thing up. Just before you do go, though, I just want to get your, it's a Monday right now, so you probably don't have the full scout ready on North Carolina, but are there any things that jump off the tape immediately that you're thinking about as you prepare for next week?
Yeah, we know they got a bunch of good guys. Obviously, they got 2 great attackmen with Owen Duffy and Don Petramala. And then they got a great face-off guy in Brady Wambach. So we know it's going to be a dogfight. We know that it's ACC play and everyone's trying to get the best of each other. This is where the best comes out. So not getting into the scout too much, but just knowing that we got to kind of do our part to try to slow them down as much as we can. Play our game is the biggest thing. Every game we go into, we want to trust ourselves, trust our preparation. We're going to go out and try to execute to the best of our ability. And everything else is going to work out when we're able to do that at a high level.
It's worked so far, and we hope Arlotta looks like the fucking Super Bowl on Saturday. That whole hill's packed, and then the place is rocking.
Under the lights too, a little bit.
Oh, 5 o'clock, right? 5 o'clock start. Yeah,
It's gonna be special.
it is. Hopefully the weather holds up. You guys got lucky this past weekend. Was it raining hard or was it okay?
It like drizzled during warm-ups, but it was like cloudy the rest of the game, but it was good temperature.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. All right, Shawn, we'll let you go. Thank you so much for joining, man. This meant a lot to us. Hopefully my youth players now understand the importance of approaches, and there's a lot of young players out there looking up to you for sure, man. So we really appreciate it. Thanks so much, and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Shawn. Good luck,
You're
man.
the man. Thanks to Shawn Light for joining the show. He is just a consummate student athlete, and as good as he is, he's just as well spoken. He's an entrepreneur, as we just learned, starting Lights Out Lacrosse. Very lucky to have him on, and he is just a quintessential Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Yeah, he's the best defenseman in the country. There's no one I'd less rather do a one-on-one with, than Shawn Light probably.
Yeah.
Maybe Schaller.
Well, Billy Dwan, you might beat him, then he'll whack you across the back. Give you a couple of good ones.
That is a good point.
Strangle you on the way to GLE.
Peel myself off the turf.
If you're listening, Billy, keep hacking. But you are a hack. You are a hack. That was a excellent weekend of college lacrosse. There was almost too much to keep up with. As someone from the media who wants to watch everything, we have this constant complaint of like the games aren't spread out. They're all at noon. Well, now they weren't. Now they're pretty well spread out. There's games at noon. There's games at 2. There's games at 5. There's games at 6. They're all day long. But it's impossible to get to everything and watch as much as you'd like to, unless you have absolutely no plans that Saturday. I watched as much as I could, and the highlights they did justice. But it was a fun Saturday. A lot happened. We joked about it in the interview with Shawn. Bummer that Notre Dame just jumped out 9-0 because we all just look forward to that game so much, and then that happened.
Did anybody kind of see that happening, though? Anybody just feel it in their sort of gut before that happened?
Well,
when it's the outcome.
When it's 4-0, you're kind of like, okay, like this could have happened, and then it's 5-0, and then it's 6-0, and you're like,
8-0.
Didn't they score?
At 8-0, I was like, this is some sick joke.
Yeah.
They scored off the first draw, right? Like immediately.
Yeah, like 3 seconds into the game.
I wonder what the stat is for the team who scores off the first face-off. What the likelihood is of them.
I got
winning.
into like a brief argument on X about this game.
With your personal account or with College Lacrosse Gameday account?
College Lacrosse Gameday account. It was good. Jordy from Barstool?
Yes.
He tweeted out, I don't even think the game was over yet. He tweeted out, I'm sorry, but there's just never going to be a world where Richmond should be the #1 lacrosse team in the country. And today is a perfect example of why levels. And I read that and I said, what a stupid, easy take.
Yeah.
Say it.
What?
Beam coming out of his ears.
Like, that is the easiest take. Put a different logo there. They lose to Notre Dame by 4 goals. You're like, whatever. There's 3 other teams that were #1 this year that lost. Richmond goes #1. They lose to the previous #1 team, who lost to UVA, by the way, who Richmond beat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's just such an easy take. And it got like EK views. And I'm like, this is bullshit. So I wrote like 3 paragraphs. He responded to my 1 paragraph. I will read this verbatim for you if you want me to.
Let's do it. We got time.
All right. So I responded to that. Every #1 team this year prior to Richmond lost. 3+ teams, depending on which poll you look at. #1 teams lose. Richmond just lost to last week's #1 Notre Dame, who, by the way, was beaten by UVA, who Richmond beat. Super easy to make this take because Richmond isn't a blue blood. Think back to other great non-blue bloods who were #1, Loyola, Albany, etc. There should be teams outside of the big 3 conferences who get to the top. Parity. And then he said, no, period. Army always loses. Albany always loses. Loyola was the exception. Parity is a fairy tale. To which I responded, Albany went to the Final Four in 2018. Loyola is not the exception and went to the Final Four in 2018. Denver won a national championship in 2015 and went to the Final Four in 2024. To say it's the only big 3 conferences is just easy to say. Most of the time it's true, but not all of the time. The most important thing is the #1 ranking is also just who in that said week is in the first spot. And Richmond was undoubtedly the #1 team in the country heading into this week. The #1 ranking isn't determining who is going to win the national championship. This is the year of parity, and there's no question about it. At least 10 teams who could legitimately win the national championship. This is not common. No response.
It's a mic drop, in my opinion. You're right. I think you're right. Like, how can you not say Richmond's the number? If you don't think Richmond was #1 team in the country last week, you're a lunatic.
I agree.
You're a lunatic.
I agree completely.
And Syracuse loses by. Yeah, thank you. No,
I'll play the devil's advocate here, though. Richmond finally gets to the stage, right? And then they play a team like Notre Dame, a team that they haven't had on the schedule yet this year, really. They beat Virginia, but Notre Dame's not Virginia, right? Did they get out-athleted? Did they get out-skilled? Did they get out-talented? Like, when you see these matchups in, like, college football or college basketball, right, the non-Power 5 conference that's 32-0 or whatever goes and plays a 500-level SEC team or Power 5 team. I'm just talking like basketball and like March Madness and all that. Like just because their record's 10-0, does it mean that they're really the #1 team in the country? By their record, yes, but like talent wise and statistically wise, like are they really the #1 team?
Are you questioning Richmond?
Right. I mean, it's an easy take to like look back on it now and say, they're probably not the number one team. But
Cornell beat Notre Dame. Richmond beat Cornell.
Any given day.
UVA did beat Notre Dame, who Richmond beat. I mean, they beat Georgetown by 5 goals. You tell me Georgetown beat Notre Dame the past 2 years prior to this year. So I just think it's. I understand what you're saying. Where it's like I'm a big football guy. Like the first round of the college football playoffs when it's like the highest ranked conference winner, which was James Madison and Tulane this year. Those games weren't even close. It's big time power football versus the low. It's not even close. But lacrosse this year especially, those teams can compete, and Richmond's a top 10 team. There's no question about it.
I agree.
So I want
to play devil's advocate.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Well done. You always do, fucker. So I think the at-large contention conversation is going to start these next couple weeks. It's people are going to start talking about it, and so much happened last week that make it such an interesting conversation. Like there was teams like Virginia, they're done. Lars on the hot seat. Now they're in at-large contention. Hopkins, at-large contention. Ohio State, at-large contention. Maryland, at-large contention. Penn State, they're kind of a bubble team now, at-large contention. The list goes on and on and on. I don't know if you're pulling up something that we can look at right now, but it's getting interesting, as it always does. But usually, I don't know, we get into conference part of the season and we try to steer the conversation to, let's talk about the Patriot League. Let's talk about, the Big East, because these conference races mean a lot because they're not going to get at-large bids. It's very important. But now it's impossible to not pay attention to the Big Ten and the ACC. And I mean, not so much the Ivy. The Big Ten and the ACC right now are just, like, it's a different product. Jordy has a point to some extent. Like it is, there are levels. And right now that product I think is just fantastic.
Yes, it's wonderful. And, I guess just to give a glimpse at what like the current tournament picture looks like. Cross Commission on X, Mike, I don't know if you follow them. I think you probably do, but he's like kind of a statistic wizard and does all these simulations of like who's going to make the tournament, who's in, who's out. Right now, the only lock to make the tournament is North Carolina, right? They are at this point in time 100% in, right, with their current schedule and wins and RPI and all that. The teams that are safe are Princeton, Syracuse, Notre Dame, Harvard, Hopkins, and Richmond. Now, you have the bubble teams. You have bubble in and bubble out. The teams that are in the bubble in, right, so they're in the tournament right now, is Penn State, Maryland, and Virginia, which is crazy to say. Maryland and Virginia are two teams that, like, we're out of the 2 weeks ago, we weren't even thinking about
Virginia.
It.
Yes.
And the teams that are bubble out, outside looking in, are Cornell, Ohio State, Army, Georgetown, Rutgers, Duke.
Richmond?
No. Richmond is safe.
Richmond's safe.
Richmond's number 6 in the RPI.
Right. But let's say, they don't win the A10 and they have another loss. They have a loss to St. Joe's, right?
Bubble.
They're on the bubble. They're 100% on the bubble. So every single out-of-conference win means something. And, like, you look at Duke, right? They don't have a top 20 win yet. They're 8-2. They're 8-2, and if they quite literally have to run through the rest of the ACC and the rest of their season to have a shot at making the tournament.
They're 8-2, and they're 13 in the
right.
Danowski's pacing, just back and forth on the sideline, just like he was during the game, just pacing.
But yeah, I mean, when you look at the AQs and the teams, if you don't win your conference, it is so hyper competitive. And it's like this every year. Like, great teams get left out. You think Harvard a couple years ago, you think Notre Dame a couple years ago, you think Army a couple years ago. So all these wins matter. Now we're getting to the point where, like, you really start to see your scheduling decisions pay off. And the teams that schedule great teams have a better shot at getting in, right? You look at Virginia. They're 7-4, right? And they're probably going to make the tournament because they have some great wins. And I also have a hot take. Schedule. I think Virginia's going to be playing on Memorial Day weekend in the Final Four.
That's really hot, Hayden. That is a hot take.
That was
you like that? So hot.
They look great, man.
They do.
They look great.
Robbie Hopper.
I mean, dude, Hopkins looks. I can't believe they beat Penn State. They came back too. They were down like 5 or 6. But
I'm going to tell my kids that the Easter Bunny's real name is Robbie Hopper.
I think they fill him with gasoline on the sideline before he goes out there. They're like, racing Robbie, open up. He's like,
nice move to the cooker. Robbie Hopper, the Easter Bunny.
He's got an engine.
Let's do our hack of the week, and then we're going to get into our slate. And I realize we just talked about all the household name teams. Our slate has some awesome mid-major games in here that you probably haven't even considered these teams, but they have huge games this weekend. So We'll get into that after our next segment that's brought to you by Hackies. Our hack of the week is presented by Hackies. We love Hackies. We've talked about them plenty. If you haven't seen a Hacky, there's something wrong with you. There's really something wrong with you. They are all over the place. They're behind us. They are downstairs. We're going to play catch right after the podcast with our Hackies in the living room, and I cannot wait. I've been working on the toe drag a lot. I want to nail the toe drag. I want to be able to do a toe drag on command this summer. You guys know that.
There's been a lot of Mark Matthews content recently. It's been inspiring the toe drag in the household.
It's just a cool move. Like, you probably stopped doing toe drags when you got to college because you were like, you just do split, more standard fundamental. But if you can go to the beach and rip a toe drag, like, people are watching.
There's going to be a cold one waiting for you at your chair.
You earned that one.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool. Now, this is for like the nitty gritty listeners of this podcast. Like, if you're listening to this, like, here's a little promo. All right. 2 weeks from now, you got to DM us a picture of your custom strung hacky. If you're a stringer, right, string your own hacky, right? Whoever has the best string job, whoever's the most creative, whoever does it the best, we'll send you a hat.
Yeah, we'll send you a hat.
Send you a hat or a t-shirt, whatever you want, really.
Out of Hayden's dime. Hayden's dime.
So string these as best you can. Like, this is I was stringing a head last night, and Brett was like, you got to start stringing hackies. Like, that's the new wave. That's the new thing coming.
Get with it, man.
So let's start this wave and see see you can do this thing justice. They're already great, well strung though. They're great.
Yeah.
They don't need any improvement, but lacrosse is a creative sport, so do your best.
Let's get creative. Michael, who's our hack of the week?
We've got Michigan's Will Tomnovich. Yeah,
Ooh.
we got Michigan on here. Big Ten win, defensive slugfest as we predicted against Rutgers. Close defenseman, 2 ground balls, 5 caused turnovers. Impressive stat line.
Sure is.
He's a grad transfer from Georgetown, which I'm sure not too many people saw that in the offseason. He's a St. Mary's, Maryland product. Spent 4 years at Georgetown. In 2023, he had 54 ground balls and 21 caused turnovers. And then he was limited to injury in 2024 and 2025. And then does his 5th year at Michigan, and he's seeing dividends finally, which is great to see. Nail gun type of bounce back, in my opinion. Will, congrats. Hack of the week.
Stud. Congrats, Will. Way to go. Talk about Michigan, too. We're talking at-large stuff. They have the chance to secure some huge wins. Yes, they have a lot of losses, but if they can string together some good wins against some good programs down the stretch, who knows, maybe make a run in the Big Ten tournament. We might be talking about Michigan quite a bit here. Let's move on to our next segment. We're going to do a quick interview with Joey Lindstrom. If you haven't met Joey or you don't know who he is, you're going to find out. He's a play-by-play broadcaster. He loves lacrosse. Real simple. Loves lacrosse. He has a website. I encourage you to check it out. He's a play-by-play broadcaster. We're going to learn about his journey a little bit, what brought him to the medicine game, and maybe inspire him to become the next Anish Shroff, Eamon McEnany. Joey, thank you so much for joining the show, man. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. No, thanks for having me, guys. Like, I feel like you guys are doing great things for the sport, and I'm a listener. I feel like I feel like I know you guys, and now to like meet you, it's awesome. So I'm excited to talk Lax.
You're part of the few and the proud, the CLG faithful.
Come on.
We appreciate it, man. But I mean, it goes both ways, because the first time I heard you call a game was the Sunday Hopkins Rutgers game, and I thought you did a fantastic job. I don't know if you know Drew Carter. I think you guys have a very similar delivery. He's a stud, and I think
he's the man.
You're right behind him. And the thing too is, when we listen to lacrosse being broadcast and commentated, like, all you really want is just passion. Like, we don't expect you to know everything about what's going on. That's why you got some Hall of Famer sitting next to you, regardless of what booth you're in. But like, it's, you care, and you're so happy you're there, and you make the stage seem bigger. So as fans, we really appreciate it. But we want to let you say hello to the lacrosse universe and introduce yourself. I think that'd be really cool for all of us.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That's a big compliment. Yeah, so just a super quick background. I'm from Chicago, played tight end at Butler University, and lacrosse has always been a staple in my life. I played from like age 10 through 18 and had more recruiting interest for football. That's really what I wanted to do. I was playing quarterback in high school, and then I switched over to tight end because I was so good at quarterback. And we also had 8 dudes in there, and I was like, man, I just want to play. Just get me on the field. So yeah, but lacrosse, I've always stayed close, like as a fan, and like going to some college lax games in Chicago wasn't really a thing, and you didn't have a Chicago lacrosse day like we did this weekend, which was awesome. And I would have loved that as a kid. But the sport's growing in that area too, which is great. But like my exposure was all these East Coast teams and like just watching on Saturdays if it was on and watching the national championship game on Memorial Day weekend. Like it was the best, man. And I always, I can remember like some of the early Eamon McEnany calls and how good he was. And I was like, man, that's awesome. Like I should try to call lacrosse when I was really thinking about doing it in college. And during spring practice, we had we had a sports media club. I wouldn't even call it a club. It was just like a few dudes that were just like, you ever called baseball? Like, let's set up a camera and figure this out. And that was I volunteered to do women's lacrosse. Butler had just started their women's program. They used to have a D1 men's program.
Wow.
And, I think it went away in like 2008 maybe.
Sounds right.
Anyway, so the women's team was playing, and I was like, I know the women's game. I'll call these games, and I was doing it solo. I just asked like some poor injured player to like hold the camera and like go back and forth, and they had 30-minute halves at the time, so you're just like grinding away solo, and I feel so bad for those parents and grandmas who are listening. But yeah, no, I stayed in Indy after graduation, and great little city to start your career. I love Indianapolis, and just started calling as many games as I could, high school, college, whatever it was, and like sending my tape out to folks and just hoping that people would give me a chance. And I really got a couple good starts in 2023 and 2024, and then moved to New York City this past year. I actually just hit the 1-year mark here in Manhattan, so it's been great to me. And yeah, I've gotten way more lacrosse, which has been plentiful and awesome, and I'm so jacked up about that because I love this sport, and it does like need somebody to be able to rise to that level. The way your tonality is, the way that you come across when you're having a conversation with your analyst, like all that matters. Like, and there's some great conversationalists in the sport, and then you also have some of the best nuts and bolts play-by-play guys. I mean, I think about this is a really long answer, by the way, but
no, we love it. This is perfect.
I just was thinking, like, you think about the way that, and there's so many good guys, and I'm just going to preface that I might miss somebody that I'm really hoping to talk about, right? But Joe Beninati, like from a nuts and bolts play-by-play perspective for lacrosse, for hockey, like so good. Snapshot score. That's like, and that Joe like has almost had that as a trademark. Anish Shroff is one of the best storytellers, and the way that he incorporates language. I got to connect with him a couple of years ago, and he was emphatic about like being really well read, and that kind of stuff comes out. Like he talks about defensive formations. Like I think he used the word phalanx one time with like an old, like in the shape of what they would do with I think it was the Greeks. Wow, now I'm forgetting. Maybe it was the Romans.
We gotta look this up. We gotta figure this one out.
It's also called like a Tortuga formation, where basically everybody props their shields over their heads to stop the arrows from kind of falling in the cracks, right? So, those like niche references, like I am all about finding different ways to do that. Since I moved here to New York City, I got to know Eamon McEnany. I ran into him. I mentioned him before. So many great time room bullseye. So many great iconic calls in the sport. And you mentioned Drew. Drew's awesome and so good. His cadence and delivery is great. Like you get like that. Some announcers have that kind of like guttural like reaction sometimes, and like a little growl, and like you find it when those big moments happen. And I love that. And then, I think somebody who's absolutely crushing is Jay Alter. Like he's been so helpful to me. I send Jay my clips to review, and he's so like detailed and helpful. And yeah, it's great. Like the circle of lacrosse announcers is awesome. As far as play-by-play goes, like the analysts are obviously amazing and colorful and terrific and detailed. So yeah, we're in a really good space. And I think that like lacrosse fans get, they become so like our announcers are coveted. We have to have the same guys, and like, there's some rising guys that I think the sport is welcoming, which is awesome. So I'm glad for it.
Do you see that in other sports? I know you commentate college basketball and soccer and a whole lot of other sports, but is the lacrosse commentator circle among the closest out of any of the other sports?
That's a great question. I think, yeah, that's a tough question. Because like I don't like with college football when I call games with ESPN, I don't know that I would have that kind of access to the guys who are doing the biggest games. At least not yet. I'd love to, obviously. And then when it comes to like college basketball, I think it's a little more accessible. I think people are pretty tight and they're happy to talk about it. I was covering the women's game all this winter, which I'm a little bit biased after the season. Like it is, from a player storytelling perspective, it's one of the best sports out there. I really think so. Like that rise there's no mistakes in the rise of women's college basketball. It's not by accident, that's for sure. Lacrosse definitely has, I think, just by sheer number of guys and gals that are calling it, I think it's just a little bit smaller of a circle because there's less inventory. So right. I think you naturally get to know people as you go. Chris Cotter's another one that I just thought of. I love the way Chris calls games, and then Brendan Burke, when the PLL first got the NBC contract, he was calling all those games from the bubble in Utah, and
I remember that. Yeah.
And Brendan's amazing. It's just I would love, like, I think even Sean McDonough called the national title game at one point, by the way.
Yes,
which is like super random. So like I love it. That sport, if you've got a bigger voice, I think it's one of the best for you. But yeah, to answer your question, I think lacrosse has a pretty small circle, which frankly it should. I mean, it's still a niche sport, and like we want to make it as big as possible as fans, like you guys are, and the constant coverage is only going to help.
Yeah, it is kind of a generational thing too. Like I see us, like you're obviously putting your foot in the ground and doing your thing, but we feel like there is a next generation of voices, right, that need to be heard, like that need to have opinions, that need to have their own one-liners, that need to call kids nail guns, right? Like we kind of need that. We need the next evolution. I feel like you're a good example of that, and that's how we DM'd, start our conversation. We feel like there's that next step where we can honor, the Anishas and the McEnanys, but at the same time, like they're not going to be here forever. We're going to need that next wave of people. And I feel like you're setting the precedent for that. So I appreciate
Let's go,
you coming on and talking to us. We need to create our own little community here. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That's big time. And I don't know that I deserve it, but I really do appreciate it. It's so much fun, dude. I really just want to do right by the sport and by the guys, and just like create the best environment possible to like create new lacrosse fans. Like still some of my friends, they'll pop on lacrosse games and they're like, hey, what's the deal with this? Like, why do goalies always want to leave? Like, I'm like, well, because they're trapped back there and they're psychos. They need to move around. It's just like the more people we get like that are just curious and they'll pop it on, that's where it comes in. And I love it. So.
Yeah. No, I think back to your Shawn McDonough statement, I think he called the Costabile.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
Costabile. It's a storybook ending for the Duke seniors. Like we remember all those, probably a little too much to a concerning extent, which is a problem in some ways. But so just to take a step back, I guess, when you first graduated, did you kind of find yourself in corporate America and then come back to broadcasting, or am I misunderstanding your story?
Yeah. I've always had two jobs. I was in institutional real estate for 3 years, and then I've been in IT consulting sales for the last year and a half. So it's a balance. It's, one day it'll become full time and that'll be awesome. I have other business ventures that I want to go down for sure, because I do think that in anybody's craft, if you're putting all of your energy into that at all the time, I do think that you need that kind of balance, because your passion is going to come out or it's not going to, because people can tell, the audience can read right through it. And I think sometimes too much of one thing can just kind of cloud you, and you can kind of you can tune out bad noise, but sometimes you got to be able to listen to other things that are going on. And I feel like I have those other skills, and being able to access them has been great. The goal is to go full time as soon as possible, but for a lot of broadcasters, this is their side gig that they're hustling for to try to make it.
It's interesting the nuance of, because it is an art form. It really is. To listen to yourself go back. You said you were getting feedback from other guys in industry. It's got to be a tough balance between being too scientific about it and then just trying to be yourself. Yeah. I'm sure that's probably something you're still trying to work out, but it's a tough job, man. It really is. You're live, you're right there, and you got to tell the story for everyone who's tuning in.
It's a blast, though. I mean, it really is. We're just talking about sports, and sometimes people will be like, "Oh, you're an announcer. That's super cool. Can you call me drinking this beer?" And I'm like, "Sure, dude." I don't work for free. No, I totally hear you. I have a play-by-play coach, and a couple of my mentors that they're both, my closest mentors are Matt Schumacher, who's full-time with ESPN, and then Brandon Gaudin, who was just calling NCAA tournament games. Neither of those guys have called lacrosse, I think, ever in their life, but They give me feedback on football, basketball, and then the coach that I have is an active producer and director. He just does that on the side, but he knows the business so well. He's been around it for 40 years. Like, he and I will sit there and watch a tape of mine, and it's super awkward. Like, imagine you and I having a conversation right now and like listening to my voice. It's awkward for me. So maybe not awkward for him because it's the first time listening, but he'll stop it and he'll be like, hey, like, a word choice there could use some work. It's like, okay, great. And he's like, what was going on here? Like, was your producer in your ear talking about this graphic that was going to come up that wasn't relevant at all to what you guys were talking about? Or like, were you not aligned, whatever? Like, because it really is a dance. Like, your producer could be telling you one thing and you and your analyst are talking about something else. It's up to you guys to really align. And that's where I really think that like the production crew like doesn't get a lot of credit, or enough at least, because there's so many different things. Like, you'll have graphics in one ear, producer in the other, and you're hearing both those people talk at the same time sometimes. And you're like, hang on a second, let me call play, do the thing. And that is a delicate dance. It is definitely an art. There's no show that goes 100% the way it was planned. And so a lot of time it's the onus is on us as announcers to be as calculated as possible and listening actively to both the analyst and the producer to know what's coming next, because we owe it to them. Like, they work super hard to prepare this for us. Like, I mean, they're also doing setup and teardown. Like, my job is to show up, call the game, be as prepared as possible to, like, for those moments, and then I get to leave. Like, this is great. They are putting so much more effort in as far as the preparation of the game and creating all these broadcast narratives, creating the graphics. Like, it's important that like we're all in sync. So yeah, it's challenging.
He's a student, man. Like we've talked to so many seasoned vets. Like, we don't hear the side of like, there's so much learning going on for you right now, and there's intricacies about what you deal with. Like, it's good to hear. It's refreshing to hear. Cool. Because it is challenging.
I was hoping not to bore
we didn't
you
hear
guys
those challenges. No, this is cool. Like, we didn't know that.
We have a producer in the background right now too. Is like, listen to Joey. Like, all the shit I have to do after this, after you guys fucking record this thing. Like, I got to edit this whole. Like, it's real. And luckily, our producer's awesome. So he makes our lives really easy.
Yeah.
I want to talk about lacrosse for a minute before we kind of get into the slate. I don't know, Hayden, Mike, if you have any lax questions, or you can still do it with broadcasting, but any questions related to our sport who our listeners are dying to hear about.
College.
Yeah, I mean, we've asked Anish this question and countless other guys, coaches, players, whatnot. But, you've been a fan of the sport for a long time. And you've seen the different iterations of the sport, the different rules year after year, all the different formats of lacrosse now. Simple question, but what is your stance on the state of lacrosse right now? Let's say the state of college lacrosse. Like, is it in a good place? Is it primed for growth? Is there anything holding it back? Is there anything with the current game that you change? I guess, what is it going to take to get it to the next level? Because we always talk about it, but like, what's going to be the driving factor that gets us there?
12 Eastern, noon tips.
Yep, there we go.
Or at least getting rid of those.
Yeah.
Luckily, I had a late Saturday broadcast. So Saturday during the day, I was like locked into my TV screen, and I haven't been able to do that for a while. And like, the linear games were all spaced out, but like, without multi-view, I don't know how I would have caught up to. I don't know how an average lacrosse fan is able to catch up to everything and really get to know these players. Like, it's a player-driven sport. Like, as much as we like to talk about the legacy of the teams and everything, like, the notable names are probably gonna sell more. The Splinas and Joey Splina and Dom Petramala are going to sell more than, hey, like, as great as it is that Army and Navy are playing this weekend, that rivalry is like, that is the selling point, right? But like, you're not going to get that if Army's playing BU. Like, no offense to those programs, like, the energy of like the brands really matters, but like, how do we get to that point where it's like, oh, well, Syracuse has potentially the best player in the country. Awesome. Like, let's go see him. And that'll come to a head like against Virginia, who, if you hear anything about Virginia, that like over the last couple of weeks, it's like, oh, they've really improved. And they've got this kid, McCabe Millen, but his brother might be even better. Who knows? And like, if people are talking about it, then people are going to want to watch. I think of it as like want lacrosse to be, we want lacrosse to be like mainstream. And I've got to be honest, like, the only time I'm active on Twitter is to promote a broadcast or something, I don't really tweet. And I don't even have it on my phone. I will literally this is it's so embarrassing to admit, but I'll log on to x.com on my Safari just to throw a tweet in about my broadcast. But from what I understand and what I hear, across Twitter is a cesspool. And it won't get out of its own way. And so I think that we need generally more positivity around the sport. You guys are doing that. Dan's doing that. Hoagie's doing that. And I think, and more guys. And so I feel like the more respected it is, I think really it'll come to a head when we see what the Olympics, how that turns out. I think a lot of people are going to attach themselves to sixes, which is awesome. And I don't know where you guys stand on sixes, but in my opinion, it's by far the most consumable way to watch the sport. I mean, my girlfriend, sick brag, is she's an athlete, she loves playing sports, but watching sports is to her probably watching paint dry. It just doesn't really click. But the minute she watches something that's interesting and fast and super digestible, like a sixes or something, I had championship series on. She was like, "This is actually pretty cool. I'm enjoying this, especially for the ladies side." So I think
have you called? Sorry to interrupt. Have you called sixes?
Yes, yeah, I did.
Did
a stream for a regional, kind of like a U20 or something similar.
How was it? How would you compare that call to a 10-on-10 lacrosse game?
So continuous. So it's a little bit different. I just started calling. Just the season just started for rugby, for Major League Rugby, and that sport is very continuous. You have to be able to decide when to put your story versus calling the goal, because it's going to happen pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. When to pose questions to your analyst, because when you pose that question, there's a chance that if it's Kark, Ryan Boyle, and Q, they're going to take it some way, and you're going to miss a goal or two, because they're great at talking about the sport. So yeah, I think the Olympics are going to show us a lot about where the sport's at. I mean, I know it's 2 years from now, but in my opinion, right now, where college lacrosse is, I think we're in a good spot because of the Richmonds of the world and their brand identity right now. It's we've been so stable and so good. We want to take on the Notre Dames of the world every week, and they'll just continue to get better. Different leagues will get better. There'll be better parity. I think the best thing to happen to the Big Ten was Michigan beating Rutgers and Ohio State. We're dead set in the middle. Everybody's
Right.
3 teams are 2-1. The rest of the teams are 1-2. And I think that it is still a player-driven sport, but the brands can only hold up so much. We still need to have more involvement from the players, and maybe that does come from. Well, I'm not really attuned to the booster scene and college lax, but I'd imagine
nobody is.
I imagine some Ivy League graduates who are probably here in Manhattan would be able to fork over some money, maybe, but I don't know. But I think I think it all trails back to I think coaches actually have more sway than we think about those 12 Eastern slots. Okay. So if
that's what Anish said. That's what Anish told us. When he came on, that was a big talking point. It was the 12 noon stuff.
Even weekday games. Let's get more weekday games, conference games.
Absolutely. But you're the Big Ten. I think you guys do it perfectly because you have one game. Maybe you have a game at Saturday at noon. Yeah. Maybe Hopkins is the home team, so that's on ESPNU. You don't even have to worry about it. Mm-hmm. But then you've been doing this kind of night game on Saturday, which is did you do the Ohio State Maryland game this past weekend?
That was my buddy Jack Kaiser, who was also doing such a great job with lax, a sport he didn't really call before he started doing that with Big Ten stuff. So now he's the man. We're friends from Indy as well. He's based in Fishers, so. Yeah.
Nice. But you got the Big Ten has it figured out, in my opinion, because you have the Sunday game, you have the night game on Saturday, you have the day game on Saturday. It's very consumable, which we appreciate. We know requires flexibility from coaching staffs to say, all right, we're going to play on Sunday this week. The kids are pissed because you don't get to booze up on Saturday night after a big win. And I get that. I do get that from the player's perspective. I want that celebratory beers, and you don't want to do it on Sunday night when you got class the next morning. Yeah, you don't want to be hungover in class. Or because you're probably going to practice on Monday too. And if you're hungover as shit, you don't want to be in that seat.
Oh.
Depends on your coach.
It does.
Did you beat somebody good?
Right.
If he's a good guy, he'll let you go.
How big was the win? Yes.
Exactly.
That's a good point. Mike, we'll swing it to you. Do you have any questions for Joey before we get into the slate?
I mean, Hayden asked what I was going to ask. I was going to compare it more towards, because you mentioned the growth of women's basketball. And if I were to answer for you, I would think the narrative-driven player narrative is something that you would compare that lacrosse could take. But that would be more so my question, because you mentioned, and I've seen the boom in women's basketball as well, especially college. maybe something that men's lacrosse can take that so we can continue to grow as a sport. Because obviously, just like you said, Joey, that's our goal. That's a lot of people's goal, is to get this sport mainstream, because it's, especially the college traditionalist level, is the best version of the sport. At least in our opinion. I know you mentioned sixes. I'm coming around to it, but yeah, it's a long-winded question.
I think around the narrative part, I think it's maybe evident if you keep up with women's basketball, but excuse me, a lot of the players are securing these deals that they do become the faces of the sport. Earliest games I had of the women's basketball season was at UVA. And Alexis Ohanian had just put in a boatload of money into that program, into women's sports. And Kimora Johnson was one of the leaders in the NIL space. And then in March Madness, she took over. She was awesome. And so that's a story that maybe the injection of capital into women's sports is paying off. And I think that we're seeing in real time. Could lacrosse benefit from that? Could college lacrosse specifically benefit from that? I think so. But then again, I don't know, you guys played college lacrosse. I think it's different for football sometimes because there are so many positions, and sometimes some positions that would be deemed more a quarterback getting more money makes more sense than perhaps I don't know, a nose tackle. No
Right.
offense to my big hog mollies up front. But in lacrosse, would you want a goalkeeper? Let's just play fantasy trade simulator right now. If Carden Stoller was hey, I'm going to transfer, and Virginia and Syracuse had a bidding war for him, would that be valuable? If you were one of those teams and you're it might get Stoller, but it's going to cost us, X number of hundred thousands of dollars or whatever it is to get that goalkeeper. Is goalkeeper that position? Is face-off? Is attack? Because then it becomes who's carrying the ball? Who's at this? Because the game is so much more about sharing the wealth and creating offensive scoring and chances, and I don't know.
Yes.
So I pose that question back to you guys.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. And does it really, ultimately the way I look at it is does that benefit the sport if, so-and-so gets, however, Carden Stoller gets this much money to go play it wherever. It's a good point. And it is easy to kind of just say, throw money at it and it'll get better.
Yeah.
It's a lazy take, but it is, there is some truth to it if you look at success stories in other sports. Michael, who's your favorite women's college basketball player?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Well, I would
take it offline if you want. If you
I
want
would
to wait.
say, I didn't really watch much this year, but when Caitlin Clark played college basketball, I watched women's college basketball, and I never would have ever thought I would have watched women's college basketball. That's not.
I got one.
Fact.
Audie Crooks, Iowa
she's in the
State.
portal now.
Yeah, right.
Really?
So that's if you compare that to lacrosse, it's let's say Dom Petromala goes in the portal, right? One, that's a point of interest for people outside the sport because there's drama behind it, right? It's why is he leaving UNC? And then, if you add the money into it, that's another point of interest for a lot of people. When I see women's basketball players go into the portal, right? I don't really follow the sport, but it's hearing that, she might go get $1 million to go play somewhere else. It's oh my God, that's a lot of money. She must be pretty important, right? Or super talented or whatnot. And if lacrosse does have that, I don't know if it's ever going to get to that point. I hope it does, but it's a point of interest and
It's juicy.
right.
It is,
And we talked to Dan Arestia, who interviewed Paul Rabel a couple weeks back, and a big point of that interview was just seeing the dollar signs associated with people in the trade market and the off season. To me, that's interesting because it kind of gives you a basis of how good is this player? How important are they? I don't know. To answer your question, Joey, where you kind of flipped it back on us, I do think that would be, good for the sport from a fan perspective and attention level. But for a locker room, I don't know. I don't know if it translates well to the sport as well as it does to, football and basketball and stuff like that. But that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, it is an interesting conversation. And I do want, the one thing that came out, we'll get to the slate. We always say, or I should speak for myself, I always say it would be interesting to see how much money guys in the PLL are making because, yes, they're not making a lot of money. They're not making millions of dollars. We know that. So, it would be cool to see, what is Michael Sowers worth? What is CJ Kurse worth? How much are they getting paid to play in the PLL? And I know it's not a lot. To no one's surprise, it's not a lot of money, but lax guys, let's face it, a lot of finance guys, we like money. Everyone likes money, but lacrosse guys, I think specifically end up in, finance positions, doing IT consulting. Like it's just, it's interesting. We want to know. We want to put a value on things because it's, I guess, part of our nature in some ways. I don't know. I think it would be cool. Even though it's not a lot of money, I think they should do it. Paul doesn't want to do it because it's kind of opening up to the cesspool on Twitter to say, like laughing at guys who are only making $25K. Who cares? Let's see how much they're worth. That's just my take. I don't know.
Listen, money's money, man. If you're getting money to play a sport at any level, I think that's cool. And that's just kind of the world we live in now. Would I love to have gotten an NIL deal at Butler University at the FCS level? Yeah. I don't know if it would have happened. I probably would have gotten a couple hoagies down the road. That's probably it. I'd be fine with me. I was a college student. Like, let's go. I don't mind. Whatever. Give me free stuff anytime.
Yeah, you could sponsor the local barber or salon wherever you got those luscious locks from.
Yeah. No, we actually had one. There was like one barber that would do everybody's hair, and he was raking it in for Butler football players.
He didn't need the. He didn't.
We gave him an NIL deal. Yeah,
the Butler barber. We'll have him on the show at some point.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. Let's get into our Week 10 slate. It is a good one. It is a very good slate this week. So how we do this slate, Joey, we have a game that we've created called CLG Pick Em, powered by East Coast Dyes.
I've been using it.
So what you have been?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How many points do you have last week?
Shoot, I knew you were gonna put me on the spot.
I'll explain how it works. You figure that out because I'm curious.
I just started 3 weeks ago. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Let's go. Man, I want it, dude. Let's go. So
I want to win.
So
bro.
how it works?
That's where it comes. Okay, sorry. Yeah.
You want a free ECD head? That's what you want.
Yes. I have one. I need to get another one. Okay, sorry. Oh, you're going
good,
through
man.
your guys' own like refurbished ad read, and I'm totally jacking it up right now.
You're good, man. So I'll explain how it works while you pull that up. So how it works, there's 10 games every week. We're going to talk about those games right now.
Yep.
To pick the winner correct, you get 5 points. To pick the winner against the spread, you get 10 points. There's a possible 195 points on a weekly basis through bonuses and such. The winner nationally on a weekly basis is going to receive a prize from East Coast Dyes. You can create leagues with your friends. It's a lot of fun. Kind of late in the season to make a league at this point, but you might as well play. Get the chance to win a cool stick from East Coast Dyes.
It's all about the reps.
It is. And then it's all leading up to our tournament bracket, which we're going to announce very soon, but it's all going to be through East Coast Dyes and CLG as well on the same website/app. So we're fired up for that to make some brackets. I think brackets are on everyone's mind right now because of March Madness. So we want to create as much attention around that as they do in basketball. Might take a couple of years.
Love brackets. That's what we know.
Dudes love brackets.
But before we start, Joe, you were going to grab a stick back there.
Oh, you want me to? Yeah, one sec.
Yeah, what's your gamer?
I mean, we're going to need a picture for the thumbnail, so you got to put it in the shot.
Yeah, here, let me post.
Look at that thing.
That's the thumbnail. It is also an ECD. This is not strung by me because I'm incompetent at stringing, but it's I don't know what I don't even know what this head would be.
That's an Ion.
That's an Ion. All right, cool. I got it.
No, it might have been the Mirage. Actually,
you want to see it again? Do you want to get a closer look?
Yeah,
rats.
That's a Mirage.
Yeah, I bought this shaft. This is a sci-tie. Literally cost $30 on Amazon. I just wanted something to play wall ball. And I found this head at Played Against Sports. It's been great. And somebody
awesome.
I don't know, some person from, it's called Volo here. It's like a local rec sports thing in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And somebody must have pegged me for a laxer. She was like, hey, we're starting a new rec league. And I was like, how did you know I wanted that? She was listening to me through my phone. So yeah, I might need mom and dad to send me my old pads or something like that. We might have to get back out there. I don't have a pole, God forbid, but maybe I can order that.
Joey, would you want something like this? It's at some point traditional.
Yeah, definitely, dude. That looks sick.
We have a buddy who's a second generation stringer. His father did it. He was an athletic trainer at our high school. He sadly passed away a few years ago, but his son does it still, and he's amazing at it. This is actually a trophy in name for the guy who passed away. We do a mini tournament every year, so this is the trophy.
That is
for
super
it.
cool.
I think about people like yourself who are in New York City and want a stick they can just play around with, but something that's really nice. So I think, we can hook you up, but this is,
That's awesome.
I think about people like yourself. Yeah, this would be, I want one.
That's
not
super cool.
Not a trophy.
I love that you guys have hackies as well. I love hackies. Those guys are great.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Hackies are great. They're an underrated product.
I'm getting them for my
We better get a
niece
few
and
extra
nephews.
bucks.
Yeah.
Yes, we better get a few extra bucks for this episode because we're talking about these guys a lot.
Okay, there you go. I by the way,
Thank you.
in my actually 2-week participation, 123 points.
Okay.
Solid.
I don't know. Is that
Across-
I can't see my
across 2
old
weeks?
picks. Is there a way?
Go to the Pick 'em page.
Okay.
At the top, it should say Past Picks under the title.
Okay.
You can click in
It's
and see.
buffering. Sorry.
We gotta speed that up.
Yeah. Pay your engineer and ECD heads. Fast picks. Nice. Okay. Cool. I'll check that out. Wow. I did.
Yeah.
Wow. There's a lot of red.
No, it's great. Great, you just planted that question because there's so much stuff that I built in there that you need to go dig for it.
You
Go
built
get
that.
your answers.
Let's go, Brett.
Yes.
Nice work.
Yes. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hell yeah. All right, let's play. Let's do this. Week 10. We're going to you to start, Joey. Hopkins at Ohio State. Ohio State's a 2.5 goal underdog in this one. The game is at noon.
Awesome. Yeah. I will. I was so torn, right? Because like we talked about the Big Ten having parity. That slow start last week for Ohio State, that was a hard watch. I mean, going down 4-0 to begin. I just feel like this group, they're missing some zhuzh. You know, they just don't have the juice right out the gate to get started fast. And it's kind of tough to tell where they are right now with the specialist category. I know Caleb Fyock hurt himself, I think, in warmups and a few weeks ago, and he just seems a little more rattled with that shoulder pain. I mean, that being said, though, Alex Marnier is a stud. I love his game. Like where this team can go when they're on. It's still hard for me to trust them from a scoring perspective. And I feel like Hopkins found something in the comeback a little bit later on against Penn State. I mean, Penn State either takes like steps on people's toes with cleats on, or they let teams hang around. And if Hopkins is the last team, they're probably the last team you want hanging around, to be honest.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so I think Matt Collison has to be good. If he's off, I think they struggle. Like we saw that in the Rutgers game when Mark and I were talking about that. It's like Collison was our highlighted player for that Big Ten Network game. He just wasn't a factor that day. But when he is a factor, he's great. It takes the defense, like almost the entire defense, to stop him. So I think, Joe Hoba will have a decent day at the face. Orange Linus, nasty flow. I'll use this again. Like he and that goalie room need him and Dash Lamidi need a NIL deal with mane and tail. I mean, those guys have some sweet flow. And if he's saving 80 to 90% of those shots, I feel like Hopkins wins. So I'm gonna take Hopkins and the points.
Love it. And if you don't want to pick any of these, you don't have to. I told these guys, get ready to pick for Joey if you need to.
No, you're good. I'm happy to. Like I'm calling Penn Princeton this week. Shameless plug. So if you guys are keen on that is the only one I won't pick, of course.
Perfect.
But we don't have that on there,
covering that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Hayden, we're going to talk mid-major right now. We're going to talk about the ASUN conference, which, Joey, I don't know how familiar you are with the ASUN, but it is.
I used to call Bellarmine games when I lived in Indy, so I'm all in.
He is in. He is maybe more in than we are. Hayden, Utah at Jacksonville. Jacksonville is a 1.5 goal favorite. Game's at noon.
Yeah, good game. This is just like your classic ASUN game, right? You know, it's always Utah, Jacksonville, at least the last couple of years. Both teams are solid. Jacksonville is 6-4. Utah 7-3. Utah actually just entered the top 20 poll, coming in at number 20 this week. You know, truthfully, I think Jacksonville is a better team. Early on, they had some tough losses to Rutgers and UNC. Lost to both those teams by a goal, which is saying something, you know, considering how good UNC has been, and then some of the wins that Rutgers has. You know, both teams don't have any great wins, right? Most of their wins are coming against mid-majors. You know, Jacksonville beat up on High Point a couple weeks back, but, you know, neither team has a great body of work thus far. So with that said, you know, this is kind of a toss-up. I do think Jacksonville's a better team, and, you know, I think we're probably going to see this matchup again in the ASUN tournament, which is going to be hosted at Jacksonville. So, you know, if you're Jacksonville, it's like, you know, you're going into this ASUN tournament as a home team, right? You might be a lower seed, but you're playing at home. So, you know, I like Jacksonville winning this game. You know, if they beat Utah this week, then they got Bellarmine and Mercer, which I think are 2 wins for them, and they go undefeated in the ASUN and get that number 1 seed. So I like Jacksonville. I think Utah's a good team, and like whatever team wins the ASUN and gets into May, like they're a competitive team and could win a game. But I'm gonna go with Jacksonville this week.
They might win the playing game.
True.
Yeah, they're not beating North Carolina. Sorry.
The electric
I mean,
playing
you,
game.
like you never know.
Parity.
Jacksonville play them to a 1-goal game.
Parity. That's right. More Maction. And I'm not talking the MAC. I'm talking the NAAC. Maction. We got Sacred Heart at Siena. Michael's going to you. Games at noon.
You want to talk about some midweek games, Joey? Maction. Caps and lacrosse too. But I mean, this is the top of the MAC. This is a good game. It's a coin flip. Along with Richmond, who was undefeated, no more. Sacred Heart was undefeated, no more. They lost last week to Quinnipiac, which is a shocking loss. Quinnipiac has not had a great year. Siena's 5-0 in conference. Now Siena's on top. and Sacred Heart's tied for second with Marist. I mean, Siena's just got something. They're just kind of on a magical run this year. They won 6 in a row. Obviously, it's been mentioned before on this podcast, but the tragic passing of their head coach, Liam Gleason. I mean, they're just playing for something bigger than themselves. You know that. That locker room is true belief that they're going to do something special this year. But I mean, Sacred Heart is a great team. Sometimes you need a loss to really grow as a team. I think that's what's going to happen with Richmond as well. But their goalie, Craig Daria, is 6th in the country in save percentage. They have a great, consistent offense. They're 5th in points per game, assists per game, and scoring offense. And the last thing I would mention with Siena is their best offensive player, Patrick Radomski, is possibly out for the rest of the season. He's missed the past 2 weeks. With that, I think Sacred Heart gets a bounce-back win.
Great take. Great take. That's a rematch of the MAC championship last year. That's going to be a good one.
Good call.
At noon. Going to you, Joey, for a big one. Game of the weekend, in my opinion. Navy at Army.
Oh, yeah.
I like to say Army versus Navy, but we got Navy at Army. Army's the 2.5 goal favorite. Game is at 2:30.
On the banks of the Hudson, boys. Last time Navy won this game was in 2022. That was 12-11 in OT. Last year, Army won on that snipe by Jackson Eicher, also 12-11 in OT. Probably one of the better games all year. I mean, that was an instant classic. I think that you think about a guy like Matt Haley for Navy. He's a senior, local kid, leading the way for the midshipmen on offense. Army's just so confusing this year. I mean, they're Schrodinger's Black Knights. Are they going to be great? Are they going to be not? We don't know if they're dead or alive. And that, we talked a little bit about like that brand facing, like being great for lacrosse. And I still think it is, obviously. This game is going to be awesome. And I think it's going to be highly watched on CBS Sports Network. For a while, I mean, Army was America's team. The last couple of years, they were at one point, I think number one both those years at one point.
Yeah.
And for at least a week. And so I think there's still some of that with Army. Like they still hold on to this like kind of lacrosse identity of like, we're still a great program and we're going to be facing a rival. Both these teams are really good right now. So I feel like Joe Alberici will have these guys ready. It's at West Point. There's just something about being along the Hudson, man. I feel like these guys are in for a good spot. But I just I don't know, my heart kind of wants Army, but I feel like Navy's going to have their revenge for the first time since 2022.
Wow. So you're taking Navy.
Navy.
Crap.
And I would say like a 2.5 goal spread is big for this game. Like it always comes down to the wire. Like, if we're talking about a lock of the week or something like that, Navy to cover is a good place to put your money.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, that is we have a term we used to start this podcast. I haven't used in a while, but feed the family. When there's a pick you are so confident on, you call it a feed the family pick. I'm feeding my family this week with Navy plus 2.5 at Army. I love it. I hope it comes down the wire. I'm just taking Navy points just because I hope it's a 1-goal game, and I hope it's as good as we all hope it is going to be. I think they played at Army a couple of years ago. It was raining, but they still got 10,000 people there. So I hope it's something like that this weekend. It'll be exciting. Penn at Princeton, Hayden. Princeton's a 4.5 goal favorite. Game's at noon.
You better watch, Hayden.
Game.
You better rewatch it.
Yeah, I will. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Can't wait to hear you on it too. It's gonna be a good one. I was really hoping that Penn beat Cornell last week. When you take a step back and look at the Ivy League, Penn and Yale are kind of fighting for that 4th spot in the Ivy League tournament. And I really thought Penn hosting Cornell last week was their chance to like cement themselves in that tournament. They didn't get it done. So, to really like solidify themselves in the tournament, they're going to have to beat Princeton and Brown, which is a tall task. Princeton is just really good. They're lights out. They're a top 3 team in the country. Like some polls have them at number 2. I love the way Princeton plays. I think they're going to win this game. They also just came out with these new helmets. I don't know if they're wearing them against Penn, but they're the best helmets of the year. Like they're all orange, white face masks. They just say Tigers on the side. They're beautiful. But I love the way Princeton plays. Like their offense is unbelievable, right? They're super well connected. But their D middies are just horses, man. Like they have like some 6'3", 6'4" studs just running the field who, when that's your short stick matchup that you're trying to exploit as an offensive player, like, you're not going to get much against those guys. So I like Princeton. I think they're a super complete team. Penn's another team, like, talked about it last week with Taylor Ray and, how good of a coach he is and how good he is at getting his teams into conference tournaments and then eventually the NCAA tournament. But I don't see Penn beating Princeton. especially at Princeton. I like Princeton winning this game, and I like them playing on Memorial Day weekend, at least in the Final Four.
Do they cover 4.5 goals?
I think they do. I think Princeton wins by 5+.
Okay. I like the pick. Joey will be tuning in for that one for sure. We're excited for him, man.
Let's go.
That's ESPN Plus, right?
It's ESPN Plus, it's NBC Sports Philadelphia, and SNY. It's a whole smorgasbord of networks.
Wait, that's fascinating. So they actually put the game on. I didn't realize that because we don't have any local. I guess just like Harvard play on like Nesson sometimes.
Not really.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do.
Do they?
Yeah.
We don't have
What
Nesson.
part of Mass
so-
are you guys in?
We're in Boston. We're in Brighton.
Oh, you're in Brighton. Nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Okay, so there's going to be more eyes on it than just the ESPN Plus subscribers who are tuning in. That's good to know.
Yeah, it'll be good. It's like a local, it's your local TV. If your grandpa was flipping the clicker a little bit, he'll find it there.
Perfect. Awesome. Mike, going to you, Duke versus Cornell. Cornell's a 1.5 goal favorite. The game's at 2 p.m. It's in Brookville, New York. I don't know the site of the game, but it is neutral.
Yeah, we talked about it a lot earlier, especially with Duke, with RPI. But I mean, honestly, both of these teams, Cornell and Duke, are both on the outside looking in as far as at-large contention goes if the season were to end right now. And they're like both, I think they're like 13th and 15th, so basically right next to each other in RPI. So this is a really important game, especially for Duke, who has Cornell left, and then they have 2 ACC games against Notre Dame and UNC, and they're already 0-2 in the ACC. So you got to think Duke is pretty much in playoff mode right now, that's when lacrosse gets exciting. Once you get to that playoff, I mean, it's just a different level of competing. Cornell as well, I mean, there's no guarantee. I mean, they got to make the Ivy tournament. There's about 5 teams that are really fighting to get in, and then who says that they're going to win it? I mean, that's a tough conference this year as well. So, I mean, it's pretty much a toss-up here. I do think that Cornell finds ways to win games. I think Cornell is way better coached than Duke. I mean, they're last year's national champion. And you can't forget it until the season ends. They're still the contender. But there are a few fun matchups in this game. Duke's Charlie Johnson and Henry Bard on Cornell's Willem Firth and Ryan Goldstein. And then also Cornell's Brendan Staub on Ben Johnson. So keep an eye out for those. I'm going to take Cornell. Like I said, I think that they just find ways to win games and are just, they're better coached.
Yep. Duke has all the pressure in the world on them. We had an at-large conversation earlier, and they're feeling the pressure. So is Cornell, though. And that was a great win last week against Penn that they had. Next game.
One thing, I asked AI about this matchup. They haven't played in the regular season since 2009.
Okay.
That's
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
That could be a cool color rush.
Because
too.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't see these teams playing. Like, in my head, when I think like regular season, like Cornell Duke doesn't ring a bell to me.
It's a cool color rush game too. If you have like
makes
just
sense.
the royal blue versus the big red.
Yeah, I don't know. Just it prompted me to look it up because it's a unique matchup.
Thanks, Jamie.
Got you.
Thanks, Jamie. Yeah. All right, going to you, Joey. This is a big one. Virginia at Syracuse. Cuse is a 1.5 goal favorite. The game's at 4:00. Gosh, the story of Virginia this year is pretty amazing. 3 weeks ago, just counting them out, and now it's a toss-up. Who wins this game? I don't know, but what's your thoughts?
Yeah, man. This was a tough one. Yeah, when I saw that you wanted me to pick this, I was like, dude, I don't know. Toss up. I mean, flip a coin.
Oh, we're not picking it. Shit, it's just we give the tough ones to our guests.
Yeah, that's good.
This is tough.
That's good, as you should. Okay, so this could be an egg on my face. I'm fully bought back into Virginia. They have sold me. I mean, like, it's one of those teams you look at and wonder about every single year. I mean, a lot of people questioning Lars, if he's lost his fastball as a coach. I mean, the dude's won 2 titles. If you, it was 2019, 2021, essentially back to back, if you really think about the legit seasons that were played, because of COVID. And for Cuse, I see them making a run at Final Four championship weekend, but in the way that, you see their offense right now with Joey Spallina, he's going to find goals. But he's also going to get doubled. Like, where else is the scoring going to come from? Is it Finn Thompson? Like, how's their defense going to hold up? Is Jimmy McCool locked in between the sticks? Like that, those things matter. And Virginia is also like still pretty young. Like, I think we're just seeing them kind of mature in front of our eyes. But they were way too lax with their clears. But
yes,
last week against Duke, I mean, they have the horses to score anywhere. Truett Sunderland, Colsey kind of picked up for McCabe's slower afternoon. I just think that when you take these teams at face value, where they are right now, Virginia has every right to be to frankly be doubted because it kind of feels like a flash in the pan still. Like I think this is their real prove it weekend.
Yes.
You know, there's something about this group that just feels like they're nearly there. If they beat Syracuse, I think that we have to really respect where Virginia is at with the way that they started the season. You said the line was what? Syracuse -1.5?
Yes.
Yeah, man. I don't know why. I'm not a hater for Syracuse. There's just something that I'm not picking up on. Where maybe I'm just not seeing I'm seeing them get to a championship weekend potentially. Because I think that what's great about the NCAA men's lacrosse tournament is that you only have to win a couple games to get the championship weekend. In the same note, you only have to win a couple games to get the championship weekend, and like you could be found out. You could have just had a couple great games. As far as this weekend is concerned, though, I'm still going to take Virginia. I just feel good about where they're at right now.
I like
ride
the
hot
pick,
hand, and maybe that's contrary. Geez, you think I talk for a living? To popular belief, but
It's 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I feel like they've just got this. You got to ride the hot hand right now. And again, not a Syracuse hater. I just feel like for this particular pick, I think Virginia wins outright.
I'm with you. I mentioned earlier in the episode that like kind of had the same thought about Virginia. Like they're just a different team now than they were a couple weeks ago, and like Virginia's just a staple on championship weekend, and like it's fun to think that they could get there. With that said, like Syracuse is a different team in the Dome,
True.
Like you watch their game against UNC and like they just don't play well outdoors. Like Coach Gade had a couple comments about it too after the game, talking about the footing on the field and how they don't have the facilities to practice on grass, like they have to practice on turf. I don't know, it's a whole thing.
Be the first
Syracuse
is
a different team in the Dome.
The first team to complain about playing on grass. Grass is so much better. Grass is so much
right.
better.
That's a valid point.
Yeah. It seems like they asked Shawn Light, I think Mark Dixon asked him in his podcast last week, like, where's your favorite out of ACC place to play that's not Arlotta? And he was like, immediately, like, the Dome. And that makes sense. I get it. But, like, the UNC place looks just so perfect in every way possible.
Yeah. It's like.
Have you been there?
No, not yet. It's an incredible facility, though, on TV. It looks awesome.
Yeah. And the camera it doesn't even capture most of the fans, mostly on that side that the camera's going from. But you look at the end zone too, and they got all the national championship banners, and then just probably the donors get to sit up on that little top spot over the bricks to just get a view of the whole field from the end zone. It's a beautiful facility, but I guess the grass sucks.
I don't know if you guys saw the end of the Cuse game, but they pulled McCool in like the third quarter.
Yeah.
I think that they should have made that decision earlier, and that game might have changed because the guy they brought in was playing really well, seeing the ball well. I think this is about how Jimmy McCool responds.
He was a spark of energy for them, and someone's got to be a spark besides your backup.
Which happens, 100% happens. But I think Jimmy needs to get comfortable at home. Yeah, I think they'll pull this out.
That
Merrick, keep it moving here.
Guy was awesome though. The goaltender.
Yes,
he was great.
Former walk-on, awesome story.
His story, we got to have him on. It is a great story.
More stories, Joey.
Harvard at Yale, Michael. Game's at 3:30. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, Yale's finally finding their stride. Right? They've won 2 in a row in the Ivy League. Beat Cornell, and then they beat Dartmouth. Smacked Dartmouth. They're sitting at 4th. They're tied at 2-2 in the Ivy League with Penn. But you beat Harvard, who's 3-0 in Ivy, and you're sitting at 3-2 in conference. Gives you a chance. You're probably gonna make the Ivy League tournament, and who knows what can happen there. But I mean, they're out of that large contention. But again, if you're getting hot at this time of the year, that's all that matters. If you're playing your best ball right now, that's all that matters. It's just a fact about lacrosse and most sports, basketball too. But I mean, Harvard got in my opinion, a much needed loss against UNC. They lost by 10. It was a Corrigan sports event, so it's a prime time event. People are paying $16 to watch you get smacked by 10 goals, probably pissed off. And then they have a bounce back win against Brown, and they have a gauntlet to finish. They have Yale, Princeton, and Cornell. But I mean, again, they're 3-0. They're in the top 10 for RPI. It does feel like they need this win, which I feel like Harvard has a little bit of pressure. Yale kind of still has that chip on their shoulder. I'm going to take Yale to upset Harvard.
Wow. A lot of upsets being forecasted by CLG. What do you think they win by? And Harvard's going to be the favorite, but
when you pick an upset, I feel like you just have to say they're going to win by a goal. I can't see them, I think it's going to be, if they win, it's going to be by a goal or 2 goals max, in my opinion.
It'll be a tight spread because Yale's at home, and It's conference play.
That's a cool stadium
Hayden.
too. Go ahead.
Yes. Hayden, this is the big one. This is just turned into a 1-2 game after the UNC Syracuse game and the Notre Dame Richmond game this past weekend. But UNC at Notre Dame, the Irish are a goal and a half favorite. The game is at 5 p.m.
Yep, 5 o'clock at Arlotta. It's gonna be a beautiful scene. I'm not gonna talk too much about this game because I think we just need to sit back and enjoy it. And we've seen what Notre Dame is able to do. We've seen what UNC is able to do. I wasn't as high as I am now on Notre Dame before that Richmond game, but they're a complete team. Defensively, I think they have the advantage over UNC, but UNC has an advantage, I think, everywhere else. I mean, at the face-off X, they're lights out. Brady Wambach is a potential Tewaaraton finalist. Offensively, like Duffy and Petramala are two guys that are seemingly uncoverable this year, but Mason Suchek is another just like stud that I love watching. I love his game. And then they have a bunch of, electric freshmen in Rayau and Gary Merrill, and a couple other guys contributing. So this is going to be a great offensive power versus a great defensive power. And, that's not to say it's going to go both ends, but I think the UNC offense versus Notre Dame defense is going to be must-watch TV. I think I like Notre Dame winning this game at home. I think they're here. I think they're just comfortable being the number one team in the country or soon to be number one team in the country. And this is kind of uncharted territory for a lot of these guys on the UNC team the last couple of years. So I see them dropping this one and maybe getting them back in the ACC tournament. But I like the way Notre Dame's playing right now. I like Notre Dame at home. And then, just talking to Shawn Light earlier, like, those guys are just consummate in everything they do. So I like Notre Dame and the Notre Dame defense shutting down UNC.
I liked your first statement. Just enjoy the game. Just enjoy it. It's at 5 o'clock. You'll be able to tune in. The Masters will be wrapping up right around then. So just sink your teeth into UNC at Notre Dame. It's going to be a joy to watch. Last one, Joey, going to you to bring us home. We got Rutgers at Maryland. The Terps are 3.5 goal favorite. Games at 6 o'clock. I have to assume it's on Big Ten Network.
So this is also a toss-up because I think Rutgers just caught a really bad day against Michigan. This team is so much better than they showed. I think even against Hopkins, I think they struggled just to kind of hit the cage. They're just a little bit off. Obviously had the epic finish at the end against Hop. But last week they just seemed really out of sync. Cordilla wasn't moving the same. The offense wasn't spinning the same. Maryland right now feels a little bit, it's not as dramatic maybe as Virginia, but Maryland feels like they're back on the come up. Catching up with Tillman a few weeks ago, he was as not too high or low as possible. Like he was like, look, this is just where we're at. Like it's nut cutting time. Like we got to go. And he didn't say that. I'm saying that. It just felt like that's where we got to go right now. And like, are we going to step up and make it the championship weekend again? Like, can this team do that? They can. I mean, I do think that the discourse about Eric Sparnos, like he is as consistent and fundamental as it gets, man. Like 8 goals is no joke. Like if he had 2 working knees, like maybe he'd be even more flashy. But the dude is a great warrior. I think with the 2 Yale transfers of Chris Lyons and Leo Johnson, the offense is becoming more dynamic. I think it just took them a while to get in their groove. Henry Dodge is awesome at the faceoff. Both still improving. It's a great goalie matchup. It's a great faceoff matchup. But I do think that it does come down to just straight goal scoring. And you can't do that against this Maryland defense, apparently. Even without Will Schaller, it has actually given a runway for somebody like Riley Reese to really show up. And he's like become the hottest thing in College Park. I mean, this guy has, I think his, I forget what my note was. I could probably pull my chart over here if you want. But I think his dad played there. His sister's committed to playing there. His mom, his
mom was a coach.
Yeah, that moment, I think that's indicative of where Maryland is right now. They needed something to really spark them. I think getting that Michigan game was a great tune-up for them after dropping their first. And so they're dropping their first Big Ten win, so I feel like it's just only a matter of time. I think Maryland wins, but I think it's close. What was the line you said?
3.5.
Yeah, I feel like Rutgers can play teams just tight. I don't see any other way around it. Then again, I'll probably have a bunch of red on my CLG picks.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's a good point though. The Rutgers does have goal scorers, but Maryland's defense is is stout. It is the one day at a time thing from Tillman too. It doesn't surprise me.
It's just crazy to think that Maryland could crawl their way back into the top 5 if they win, this week against Rutgers and Hopkins next week, and then going into Big Ten play. They're right back where they belong. So
no surprise.
that's what Tillman does.
Yep. Well, Joey, it's 10:24 p.m. Eastern on a Monday right now, and you've been on for over an hour, man. And we greatly appreciate you taking the step coming on. Yeah, this is really cool, and we're gonna follow your journey closely. You're always welcome back on this show.
Yeah, if there's anything, I'll say this. If there's anything you guys want, I'm always happy to try to fit it in. If there's a phrase or a word that you're like, can this guy fit this into the broadcast? I love a challenge.
We asked Quint if he could fit the word nail gun into a broadcast.
Yeah, I heard Brett say it earlier. So yeah, all right. Is nail gun the one? Has Quint done it yet? Do I need to do it?
No, I don't think he's going to do it.
You need to do it. You need to do it.
Okay.
I mean, this is number one, but we'll have some others. But we gotta see if you get nail gun in.
It depends, right? Because you could have. I think a couple weeks ago, I think we had a Gilman, and it was like a shot to break a 10-man ride, and I said something to the effect of launching the trebuchet. There's a good it has to be kind of applicable, right? A long pole has to have that big carry. So nail gun, would it be Nate Kabiri over the middle and he just kind of stabs a corner from 5 yards out, or is it time and room? What do you guys think?
If
it's gotta be
question.
If he's running over the top, takes a shot, and gets right back up, that's a nail gun. That's a nail gun move.
If he's taking
a nail gun, yeah. So you get flip to the defensive side of the ball. I think when you think about nail gun, this guy's nails. This guy, he's tough as nails. That's kind of the way I would put it. I guess. Now that we're describing it, it is tough it's an adjective that you'd have to use to describe a player.
What a nail gun.
Yeah, that defensive midfielders are commonly nail guns because they sacrifice their body, they jump in front of shots. Is there any other way we can help them out?
Yeah, D Mitty forces a turnover, picks up a GB, goes down and scores. Or a face-off guy pops it out the front, shoots, scores, gets rocked, gets right back up and back to the X. That's that would be the characteristic of a nail gun.
All right. Well, if I'm 90% there in my description, I have failed. So I'm going to try to hit the exact spot that we need.
Yeah.
For
Try
you
to see if
guys.
you give us a shout out. We'll take any we can get.
Yeah. CLG all day. I love it. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome, man.
Thank you so much, Joey. We'll let you go. We really appreciate it, man. Enjoy. You're doing the Penn Princeton game this weekend, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Dude, that's an awesome game. That's
it'll
going to
fun.
be it's going to be a joy for you.
My third Penn game. So we'll see how Taylor Ray's the man. So we'll see how they improved. And yeah, like you said, Princeton's awesome. So very excited to see how it goes.
Do you have anything on the calendar down the stretch, like a big game circle that you're excited to do, or is it week by week in your business?
I would say the big games, the biggest ones as far as the linear TV goes, were last weekend, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, with that Rutgers Hop game in Maryland, Michigan. And then the rest of it's pretty much digital, which is great. Got Towson Fairfield next week, some East Coast local stuff, and then I'm on call, so if anything happens, I'll let you guys know and make sure to plug it. But I appreciate you asking.
Of course, you're taking advantage of the opportunities, and who cares about my opinion? But we're talking to you. You left an impression on us, so
thanks,
keep doing what you're doing for our sport. This is we need voices like yours. So thanks so much, Joey. We appreciate it.
Let's go. You got it. Nail gun incoming. All right.
All right.
See you,
Thanks,
boys.
Joey.
No, appreciate you guys. Good luck with
Good
everything.
night.
Thank you. Thanks to Joey Lindstrom joining the show. He's becoming a character in our universe, which we are greatly appreciative of. A natural fan. You can't draw that up any better. You don't get those too often, do you?
He's humble. He's a student. That's what you want out of a young guy who's trying to make a name for himself.
Yes.
He doesn't pretend to know everything.
He's a nail gun. I should have told him he's a nail gun. He is.
Yeah.
He is a nail gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't want to make him think about it too much, though, You want to let it roll off the tongue. Not second guess himself.
I'll tell him and follow up. Mike, what were you saying?
I was going to say he's going to hear us calling him a nail gun at the end of this episode when you listen to it. So you're a nail gun, Joey.
Nail gun, Joey.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much. Enjoy the games this weekend. Army Navy. That's the biggest in my opinion, but you got a 1 versus 2 as well. So enjoy all the action. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to follow, all that fun stuff. Check out the merch. I'm wearing the Irish shirt. I was kind of hoping that Shawn Light would see it and say something, but it's okay. It's okay.
It exists.
It's embroidered too. So you guys are probably thinking that's a shitty t-shirt. It's comfort colors. It's embroidered. It's pretty nice. So check it out. Anything else editorially?
No, I think there's some really fun announcements, big announcements coming, some other partnerships. Dan and I are making a trip to the Harvard Club tomorrow night, shake some hands, talk some fundraisers as a sneak peek, but some really exciting stuff for the program. And yeah,
We got our orange and baby blue tuxes ready to go. Be Dumb and Dumber.
it's gonna be a spectacle.
UNC Syracuse. Thanks all.
CLG has live scores.
CLG has live
CLG has
scores.
live scores.
CLG has
CLG
live
has live
scores.
scores.
Clip it.